Imagine your child walking into school and being disinfected. The reality is playing out in Lebanon as the corona outbreak grows. Students are being sprayed down, their temperature taken, and as the virus spreads, so does fear. In the U.S., markets continued their free fall for the worst one-day point drop in history. So far, this is the worst week for the market since the 2008 Great Recession. All this after the first patient in America tested positive for COVID-19 with no apparent ties to China. We're going to take a closer look tonight at the spread of the virus and what can be done to contain it. The race for 2020, Joe Biden is pushing forward, trying to finally make his mark in South Carolina as Bernie Sanders works to hold his frontrunner status. Our Mary Bruce is on the ground. And we're learning new details about that employee who walked into one of the nation's largest breweries and opened fire. What we now know about the motive. Good evening. I'm Diane Macedo in for Lindsay Davis. Thanks for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the historically bad day on Wall Street. Stocks took a dive as investors continue to worry about the spread of coronavirus. The Dow lost nearly 1,200 points for its biggest one-day drop ever. All the major averages are now in correction territory, and the Dow and S&P are on track for their worst week since the financial crisis. Rebecca Jarvis is on Wall Street for us. And Rebecca, today Goldman Sachs said it expects zero earnings growth for American companies this year. What does this mean for the average consumer?
Well, what it could mean for the average consumer are changes to the price you pay for anything from a flight to your medications. It also very likely will have some impact, at least in the near term, on what happens to that 401k, Diane. Of course, when you're thinking about your 401k or your retirement savings account, you want to think beyond these short-term fluctuations and think many years out. That's how people should be thinking about investing for retirement. But in the near term, you can expect a lot more volatility, more headlines. And from a Wall Street standpoint, the biggest concern is how long this outbreak lasts and what that means for how we behave. If we get nervous, stop traveling, don't go out to restaurants, don't go to the movies, there's a snowball effect, a ripple effect there on the U.S. economy. And while some things, like, for example, pharmaceutical prices could go up because of the fact that a lot of those products come from China, which has been at a standstill because of the coronavirus, there's also the flip side, which is some things will cost less. Travel, restaurants, and hotels will very likely have deals as a result of the fact that they're going to want to bring people in. So if you're the kind of person who, in the midst of an outbreak, is interested in doing something like that, you can probably score a decent deal for yourself, Diane.
And Rebecca, we also mentioned that stocks are on track for their worst week since the financial crisis. Give us some perspective on how bad this is, and could there be an opportunity for bargain hunters there as well?
Well, if you think about this from the standpoint of where things were just a few weeks ago, just a couple of weeks ago, February 12th, the market hit a record all-time high, and we're about 11% down from there. Since that point, stocks have wiped out $3.4 trillion in value. But as I said before, the way that people out there should be thinking about this, the way that everybody who's talking about the long term, saving for retirement, keeping that nest egg, thinks about investing is over the long haul. It's not about finding an opportunity today or tomorrow. It's about thinking about 30 years from now, how much money are you going to need to retire, and constantly putting money in from that 401k, especially when you have a company match, Diane.
All right, Rebecca Jarvis on Wall Street for us. Thanks, Rebecca. And we have some new developments on the coronavirus here in the U.S. We're learning some new details about the first patient diagnosed with COVID-19 without any clear explanation for how that person was exposed. It's called community spread, and the handling of that patient near Sacramento, California, is now raising questions about the CDC and why it had not tested for the virus sooner. Dozens of workers at that hospital are now being closely watched. Meanwhile, overseas, Saudi Arabia has shut its doors to Mecca in reaction to the growing number of cases in the Middle East. Baghdad has reported its first case and has been spraying down large mosques. Some Iraqis have even taken to the streets, handing out face masks and leaflets to drivers. And in the last few days, South Korea has seen the largest spike in cases outside of China. Workers have been spraying down restaurants in Daegu, where a number of cases popped up tied to a church. And we're going to go inside the quarantine there in just a moment. But first, Will Carr has the latest on the mysterious new case here at home.
Tonight, there's an intense search in California to find out if the novel coronavirus is spreading through this community. Authorities are trying to find everyone who came into contact with a Solano County woman after she tested positive.
They're contacting any individuals who might have been exposed, and they're isolating them.
Tonight, her case is believed to be the first spread through her community. The problem, since she had not traveled to the hot zone and did not know anyone infected, even after being placed on a ventilator at a local hospital, she was not tested for 4 days after showing symptoms.
Do residents need to be wearing masks right now?
We do not believe so.
But experts say valuable time has been lost.
Every single delay in testing means potentially the virus could go to hundreds or thousands of more people.
At this point, authorities say there are no connections to nearby Travis Air Force Base, which has housed Americans under quarantine. But tonight, a new whistleblower complaint raising questions about the safety of those workers assigned to the quarantined Americans. The New York Times and Washington Post are reporting federal employees worked without proper training or protective gear at March and Travis Air Force bases. The Secretary for Health and Human Services was asked about the workers today.
To your knowledge, were any of the ACF employees exposed to high-risk evacuees from China?
They should never have been without appropriate PPE.
What's PPE?
That's personal protective equipment.
Tonight, at least 33 people, most flown into the states, have tested positive in California. Another 8,400 are being monitored after trips overseas. And Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is running out of kits to test for the virus.
We have just a few hundred testing kits in the state of California, and that's surveillance testing as well as diagnostic testing. That's simply inadequate.
The CDC has pledged more in the coming days. In a matter of weeks, the virus has spread to every continent but Antarctica. Japan has closed all schools for a month. In South Korea, there are now drive-through testing facilities. Back home, if the virus spreads rapidly, the CDC is telling Americans to be prepared to stay at home with 2 weeks' worth of food and medicine. And with masks in high demand, experts warn they won't protect healthy people from getting the virus.
Anyone who does not have a respiratory illness, meaning a cough or sneezing, should not be wearing any type of mask.
And Will joins us now from that hospital. Will, the CDC is facing a lot of heat for not testing there sooner. What are you hearing on that front, and how is the CDC responding?
That's right, Diane. Well, the federal guidelines when this woman came down with symptoms required for people to be tested if they had been in China and come back, or if they'd encountered anybody who was infected. She did not meet either of those standards, so there ended up being that 4-day lag in between when she showed up to the hospital with those symptoms and when she was tested. Those federal guidelines have since changed. Because of all of this, it's now up to doctors and their discretion on who they want to test. But as I just mentioned in that report, the kits for testing here in California have dwindled down to 200. 200 kits is all that's left. So there is a real need. They're expecting those kits to jump exponentially. The CDC is sending a lot more in the coming days, Diane.
All right, hopefully they deliver. And Will, it's concerning to hear about community spread even from across the country. How are people in that actual community reacting?
Well, there's a real concern, and I think that you saw that especially come out today in a press conference with the governor, because he and other public health officials were pressed hard on more information about this woman. All we know is the 2 hospitals where she's been, and that she's a woman, and that she's from Solano County. But it's a real balancing act for the authorities here, because they say they don't want to create more panic. Let's say that they came out and said exactly which neighborhood that she lives in. You could have all those people in that neighborhood really panic, really have a lot of anxiety with what's going on. So the governor says he wants to be transparent, but he also wants to release the information that the public really needs to know, and that he will do that as he deems fit. Diane.
All right, Will Carr on California for us. Thanks, Will. And of course, as Will just reported, it's not just the U.S. on alert. Around the world, governments are trying different ways to contain the virus. In Lebanon, as we mentioned, school children are being sprayed with disinfectant on their way to class. In Japan, Prime Minister Abe has closed all elementary, middle, and high schools through the end of next month. But perhaps the biggest concern is in South Korea after a dramatic 505 new cases announced in just the last day. 13 people have been killed as residents of Daegu the affected area have been staying home. And in Italy, 17 people have been killed. Our James Longman has been there covering the European efforts to contain the virus. And our Ian Panel is now in self-quarantine after spending time in the South Korean hotspot of Daegu. Here's their report.
Usually this park is full of kids playing, but because of the virus, everybody's staying indoors because they're scared to come outside. This is my daughter, so what do you think about that?
I want to play with my friends, but everybody's scared of virus and they won't come out.
This is now the new normal. A father and daughter wearing masks in an empty playground. These scenes are playing out across parts of the globe where coronavirus COVID-19 has now spread. What began as an isolated cluster in China's Hubei province is now spreading through South Korea at an alarming rate. Over 1,700 people infected and more than a dozen deaths just this week alone. Now, a US soldier serving here is among the patients, and there are no signs this virus is letting up. South Korea, like countries before it, is struggling to contain the spread, urging 2.5 million of its citizens in the city of Daegu to stay home.
Okay, so we're gonna go out here with my family. So everybody's wearing gloves. We're not pushing the buttons anymore. In our apartment, they've installed a hand sanitizer basket here.
But South Korean officials have stopped short of imposing a full lockdown. People here are still able to leave their homes, even the city. It's a stark contrast to China's mandatory lockdowns, where officials have released a video warning of what'll happen if a sick person tries to flee a checkpoint. Extreme measures perhaps, but the dilemma of how to stop the spread of this virus is deadly serious. While most people in Daegu are stoic, calm, the worry is undeniable.
This is now the biggest outbreak outside of China. We're in the city centre or in one of the main urban areas. Just listen how quiet it is. You can see there's the odd couple out there sat on a bench, people walking their dogs. There's a gentleman over there even getting out for some exercise, because otherwise people are pretty much housebound.
Mr. John Won-woong is a sprightly 80-year-old who's still going out and working out, but he's worried.
They don't go outside for the slight possibility that they might catch the virus. They just don't want to meet any others.
People here make their own choices about whether or not to go out, but like Mr. Woon's family, most stay at home. Most businesses are shuttered. All schools, colleges and daycares are closed. Normal life has been suspended. Leaving home is no longer a routine task. Every step over the threshold has to be calculated.
I told my wife, well, let's just go in, get what we need, quickly get out and go home. And then, of course, when we came home, wash your hands and just, be safe. We're just being careful, try to limit meeting lots of people, just being safe.
The growing cluster of cases in South Korea has authorities struggling to keep up. There aren't enough doctors, not enough nurses, not enough beds, not enough equipment to care for all the sick. When we visited this hospital in Daegu, it was already near capacity.
Okay. This hospital is now at the centre of the outbreak in South Korea. There are more than 200 patients inside, and all of them have COVID-19. Now, over the last hour or so, we've seen a fairly regular stream of ambulances bringing more patients in. Then the process of disinfecting. This seems like an almost never-ending process, and a battle that's tough to win.
The risk of death from COVID-19 appears to be greater amongst older adults with prior medical conditions. But the fear of the unknown consumes this continent. 3 weeks ago, we were in Hong Kong, where people were desperately trying to get their hands on face masks.
They're being tightly rationed. If you have a look up here on the wall, it's basically telling people we tried our best, we don't have any more masks, and that's the situation across Hong Kong.
Since that trip, we've seen repeated scenes of people trying to protect themselves and their loved ones. From the streets of Wuhan to a cruise ship in Japan. And now to Europe, a continent with open borders, where the measures put in place in Asia won't work so easily, and where officials will have to find new ways to fight the spread of COVID-19.
Life on pause for one of Europe's biggest cities.
E come l'atmosfera qua a Milano oggi?
In Milan, only a scattering of tourists outside the famous cathedral, its doors only open to worshippers. So much of the city on lockdown. Italy's outbreak centered on 12 towns only 30 miles from the city center. So Italian officials, like in Asia, taking no chances. All public spaces considered a vulnerability. Milan's university, movie theatres, gyms and libraries all closed.
Milan is an industrial, but of course, massive fashion powerhouse. Brands like these are having real problems with production. So whatever the medical reality of this virus, the economic consequences around the world are huge.
A washout for Fashion Week. Giorgio Armani's models walking through an empty hall. COVID-19 impacting the lives and finances of yet another city.
Because of panic, the supermarkets have been cleaned out. People have gotten a little bit more aggressive. You can tell that they're worried. Even the streets are more empty.
Italy taking lessons from the Chinese, cordoning off entire towns from the outside world.
This is the police line. Beyond here are the 12 towns that are on lockdown. And take a look on Google Maps. You can see every way in is blocked off.
From small towns in Italy to sprawling cities in Asia, the theme is the same. While governments are not keeping people from leaving their homes quite yet, businesses are forced to shut down.
It says close for the mayor's orders until, we don't know until when, actually.
People stand in long lines to get supplies.
Ma perché ci sono gli scaffali della pasta vuoti? Ma che cosa sta succedendo?
Routines and day-to-day lives continue to be upended. 23-year-old Italian resident Rossella showed us her new reality.
As you can see, there's nothing there, almost nothing there, nothing in here, and there are people wearing face masks everywhere.
And as we saw in Asia, restraining the movements of some does not prevent this highly infectious virus from reaching others. Europe's free-flowing borders make it nearly impossible to stop this from spreading. They're battling an invisible enemy. A hotel in Spain is now putting 1,000 people under quarantine after an Italian doctor and his wife tested positive. Croatia and Austria also reporting cases linked to the Italian outbreak. The international community is about to take on a new challenge as countries like Iran are accused of underreporting their cases of infected people. Watch as Iran's deputy health minister appears ill in a live broadcast. The man next to him is a government spokesman telling Iranians there's nothing to worry about. Days later, both are diagnosed with coronavirus. And efforts to battle this virus will be made even more difficult as the first person in the US contracted it without any known exposure to an infected person. With no clear idea of how to stop the spread, concern has morphed into prejudice. Asian communities in Western countries increasingly the target of racist abuse.
This is Milan's Chinatown, and basically every single shop or restaurant or cafe is closed. And it is fair to say that along with the virus, a sense of anti-Asian sentiment is creeping. Incidents of racism against Asian people are on the rise throughout Europe.
While the vast majority of cases are in China, wherever people go, the virus follows. Every continent except Antarctica now reporting illness. Putting hundreds of thousands under mandatory or voluntary isolation cannot last because it does not work. As the global financial markets continue to reel from the effects of COVID-19, panic and uncertainty seem almost more contagious than the virus itself. The race is on for health officials and world leaders to find concrete answers, because every man for himself is not a sustainable reality.
Our thanks to James Longman and Ian Pannell for that report. And the big question many are now wondering is how close are we to finding a solution to the outbreak, and how long can this go on for? Joining us now is the person leading the charge to try to find a solution here in the U.S., Dr. Andre Khalil from the University of Nebraska Medical Center. Dr. Khalil, first off, I know you're busy, so thank you for taking the time to speak to us.
Thanks for having me.
How far along are we in developing a drug to treat COVID-19?
So we decided to take a little bit of a different approach this time. We designed the clinical trial to be available to different drugs. So the trial that we designed with the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, is a trial that will be what we call randomized adaptive trials. So the trial will be able to test several different drugs sequentially. The first drug that we're going to test is remdesivir. So this is the medication that has already a track record of a viral replication inhibition. So we looked into in vitro and animal studies and found that this medication has this ability to inhibit the viral replication. So the idea here is to test this medication as the first one in the trial. So half of the patients will receive remdesivir and the other half is going to receive the placebo. And the idea here is to run this trial as fast as possible to find if this medication works. If this medication works, we're gonna work in what's called an adaptive process. The medication will be transferred to the control arm, and we're gonna bring a new medication and test a second medication, and then we can test a third medication, so forth. So the idea here is to have this clinical trial running as long as possible. We have now a plan to run for at least 3 years. And we're going to test multiple drugs. Hopefully, we're going to find one or more therapies that can just improve the clinical symptoms and the survival of these patients with severe COVID-19. Very important to mention that the trial really is focused on the patients with a moderate and severe disease. As you know, 80 to 90% of the patients today will have just a mild disease. They will basically get cured just on their own. They will not need any specific medications. The focus of this clinical trial is to try to help the people that need the most, the people that are going to have the severe disease, the disease that affect the lungs and can cause pneumonia. So
what can you tell us about the participants in this trial as well as the coronavirus patients that you're already treating?
So I cannot tell you any specifics about the first patient enrolled in the trial, but I can tell you that the patient it keeps improving and actually was discharged from the biocontainment unit back to the quarantine yesterday. So meaning that the patient really had a significant improvement being the clinical trial. We, as I mentioned before, is a randomized trial, double-blind, so we don't know which medication if the patient received the placebo or the active drug, but the patient improved and the patient was discharged from the hospital. We have other 14 patients that are in the quarantine. That means they do not require to be admitted to the hospital because they don't have any severe disease. They all have mild disease. So at this point, patients are doing well. They're improving. But we are observing very carefully because what we've noticed with this infection that sometimes it takes about a week and a half for the disease progress and get into the lungs and cause pneumonia. So we have to keep very close attention to each one of these patients.
That's good to know. And I know that your facility also dealt with the Ebola virus outbreak in 2014. So far, how does your experience with these two scenarios compare?
I think they compare differently, but we learned so much in 2014 through both the clinical aspects and research aspects. For instance, the trial that we have now, the clinical trial that we have now, is basically is being built on what we learned with the trials that we did during the Ebola outbreak. So we are much better doing this type of research nowadays, trying to bring new therapies because we are learning on the time that we went through the 2004 outbreak. So definitely it's a learning curve, but the lessons we learned in 2014 are definitely being very useful for what's happening today.
All right, Dr. Andre Khalil from the University of Nebraska Medical Center. We appreciate your time, doctor, as well as the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And when we come back, the American highway turned into a river. Drivers stranded, rescue teams sent in, and the threat to a major city's water supply. Plus, the daycare horror, a driver suddenly slamming into a crowded room full of children. And the manhunt underway for these three shooters who walked up to a store, looked inside, and opened fire.
ABC News, straightforward.
We're back with a frightening scene for any parent. A children's daycare center smashed into by a car. Most of the young children were napping when it happened. ABC's Whit Johnson has more.
Tonight, 4 children are recovering from injuries after a car slammed into a crowded daycare north of Philadelphia.
A vehicle went into the building. The car is all the way into the building.
This black sedan crashing up to 50 feet into the Children of America facility this afternoon. Images from the scene showing the car wedged under a wall of cubbies, tables and tiny chairs tossed around the classroom. 17 kids ranging in age from 3 to 5 years old were inside, many napping at the time.
We have a total of 4 patients.
Authorities confirming those 4 kids rushed to a nearby hospital.
One of those 4 children was taken to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for serious injuries.
Investigators say the woman driving the car was treated and released from the hospital.
Our thanks to Whit Johnson for that report. And we now have a trial date for that infamous college cheating scandal. Lori Loughlin and other parents charged in that case are set to begin their trial on October 5th. Loughlin and her husband have pleaded not guilty to several felonies. They're accused of agreeing to pay $500,000 in bribes to help their daughters get into the University of Southern California. More than 50 people have been charged in the bribery scheme. The attorneys for Harvey Weinstein have dropped their appeal bid. According to a spokesman for Weinstein, his lawyers are concerned that if they get him out on bail in New York, he'll be arrested by Los Angeles police. Last month, Los Angeles authorities charged Weinstein with 4 felony counts. It's unclear when they plan to actually try him. And we still have a lot of news to get to tonight. A major storm continues its march, bringing blinding snow, dangerous winds, and bitter cold. And why more Americans may be at risk for the #1 killer in America when we come back.
ABC News, straightforward.
And we're back now with a look at the numbers behind the news. A new survey out today finds about 4 in 10 American adults are obese. According to researchers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 5,000 U.S. adults participated in the study from 2017 to 2018, and 42% registered a body mass index above 30, indicating obesity. That's up slightly from the last survey. For reference, an average woman at 5'4" is considered obese at 174 pounds. An average man at 5'9" is considered obese at 203 pounds. The survey also found that some 9% of American adults registered as severely obese or having a BMI of 40 or above. A half a century ago, just 1% of adults were severely obese. According to the Associated Press, one obesity expert estimates that every primary care doctor who treats adults has about 100 severely obese patients. That expert says the new findings suggest more Americans are at risk for diabetes, heart disease, and cancer due to their weight. Coming up on ABC News Live, the countdown to South Carolina. Could this be the state for former Vice President Joe Biden's firewall? And amid coronavirus concerns, what do you do if your travel plans get disrupted? We'll speak with a travel expert coming up. First, here are some of the trending headlines on abcnews.com.
ABC News, straightforward.
The misery over coronavirus continues for the market, stocks sliding for the sixth day in a row.
We're very, very ready for this.
I thought the president's press conference was very effective.
Confusion, even chaos in the administration's response.
Vice President Pence, head of the country's novel coronavirus task force. The vice president making key additions to his team, the Surgeon General, the Treasury Secretary, and the Director of the National Economic Council.
In the days ahead, we're going to make sure that the full resources of the federal government continue to be brought to bear in confronting the coronavirus here at home.
The CDC confirming in California the first patient to become infected with COVID-19 through so-called community spread.
8,400 plus are currently being monitored.
In Milwaukee, police have released the name of the suspected gunman who opened fire at the Molson Coors facility. His name, Anthony Farrell, 51 years old. Police say he killed 5 co-workers, then turned the gun on himself. The facility remains closed for the week as the community and company mourn the loss.
Never seen anything like this.
This is Wisconsin's 11th mass shooting since 2004.
This cowardless act of violence is something that we have to make sure is never repeated in this community. But unfortunately, it is far too common in our country.
It's what many consider a do-or-die state for Joe Biden, and the former vice president is leading in South Carolina polls, hoping to use the state as a springboard in the Democratic race. But he's still keeping an eye on Senator Bernie Sanders.
Senator Sanders' Medicare for All push will be a long, expensive slog.
What do we want? Bernie! What do we want now?
Sanders has rocketed to the top of national polls.
All those people who say Bernie can't beat Trump,
Take a look at the last 50 national polls. Bernie beats them 47 out of 50.
In third, a surprise candidate, billionaire businessman Tom Steyer.
We're trying to win this state.
The trial date is set for defendants in the college admissions cheating scheme. Actress Lori Loughlin and other parents charged in the case now heading for trial, scheduled for October 5th.
Their attorney hoping to put things on hold after claiming new evidence shows the FBI pressured the alleged mastermind of the Varsity Blues college admissions scheme, Rick Singer, to lie.
Now to the 2020 race. The battle for South Carolina is just 2 days away, and the stakes could not be higher for Joe Biden. Our Mary Bruce caught up with the former vice president on the campaign trail today, whereas he's hoping a big win in South Carolina will give him a boost heading into Super Tuesday. This is Bernie Sanders works to solidify his standing as the frontrunner. Mary Bruce has the latest from Charleston.
After coming into the race as the frontrunner in South Carolina, Joe Biden is now looking for a comeback. We spoke to him today on his campaign bus.
You've said if you win here that you will be unstoppable, but your rivals disagree. They say even if you do well here on Saturday, that it won't make a difference, that it won't be enough to propel you to win big on Super Tuesday and beyond.
Well, not a pundit, but let's see. Let's just see what happens.
It's not too little too late?
I don't think so at all. We'll see.
For Biden, this is deeply personal. At a town hall overnight, opening up about his faith and the loss of his son, Beau.
My son, Beau, is my soul. And what I found was I had to find purpose. He asked me when he was dying, promise me, Dad. Promise me, Dad. Promise me. He said, I know no one loves me more than you do, Dad. But promise me you'll stay engaged. And every morning I get up and I say to myself, and I give you my word as a Biden, I hope he's proud of me. Hope he's proud of me. Because that's the thing that makes me move on.
The new frontrunner, Bernie Sanders, is already looking ahead to Super Tuesday. Today in North Carolina, pointing to the latest polls, he argued he is the most electable.
So don't tell me Bernie can't beat Trump. We're going to beat him. We're going to beat him here in North Carolina. We're going to beat him all over this country.
Sanders is expected to also do well in South Carolina, but with the other candidates splintering the vote, new questions about what comes next.
If they don't do well, should your rivals like Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, should they start thinking about dropping out?
No, look, I'm not going to tell any other candidate what they should do. I know why I'm running. They know where they're running. I'm going to stay in this because it matters.
And Mary Bruce joins me now. Mary, Biden has put so much into winning South Carolina, but has his campaign been able to lay the groundwork for competing on Super Tuesday?
Well, Diane, Joe Biden has notably been hesitant to say whether a win here in South Carolina will give him enough of a boost to win big on Super Tuesday and beyond. He is going all in here on South Carolina, putting all of his muscle, banking his campaign essentially on winning here on Saturday. And that means that he simply doesn't have the same kind of ground game, hasn't been spending the same amount of time in those critical delegate-rich Super Tuesday states. In fact, it's been over a month since he's been campaigning in many of these states. Now, he's going to try and change that. He has a lot of trips planned for those 3 days in between the South Carolina primary and Super Tuesday. But, Diane, he simply doesn't have the same kind of organization and presence in these critical states as his rivals do, like Bernie Sanders and Michael Bloomberg.
All right, we'll see if that strategy pays off. And, Mary, we also saw messages today about how the party will try to unite after what could be a very long primary process. What's the strategy there?
Well, we are hearing from some of the party heavyweights weighing in today, trying, it seems, to tamp down speculation that the Democratic establishment wouldn't rally behind Bernie Sanders if indeed he does become the nominee. We heard Barack Obama weighing in a funding email saying that he will wholeheartedly support whomever is the party's nominee. And Nancy Pelosi saying that this all comes down to one word: unity, unity, unity. Diane.
Right. Mary Bruce on the trail in South Carolina. Thanks, Mary. And for more on the battle for South Carolina and what comes next, let's bring in Adisu Demisay, the former manager for Cory Booker's 2020 campaign and the co-founder of the 50+1 political advocacy group. Adisu, it's just 2 days until South Carolina votes. How much does Joe Biden's fate rest on a big win there? And what happens if Sanders comes in a strong second?
I think the whole
his whole candidacy rests on South Carolina. I think he's telegraphed that really since Iowa and even before, and we're going to see what happens on Saturday. But I do think that the margin between who comes in first and who comes in second, who likely will be Senator Sanders, but could be Tom Steyer, as you referenced earlier, is relevant here. A big win means some momentum going into Tuesday and beyond. A narrower margin may blunt that a little bit and may mean that previous momentum could carry the day. So we'll see. But Joe Biden has a lot on the line on Saturday.
Okay, and then Michael Bloomberg seems to be staking his campaign on a strong Super Tuesday showing by where his campaign is traveling across the country. What's your view? Can his national strategy really work?
We'll see. I think he certainly has cut into Joe Biden's base in some of those Super Tuesday states and beyond, and has built a base of his own with hundreds of $millions of advertising and his travel and strategy across those states in the last few months. I think in many ways, the worst case scenario for Bloomberg and Biden is that they are equal, that they basically end up tied, and Sanders ends up winning by a nose, or in some cases further than that, just by nature, by virtue of the fact that they're splitting the vote. And so we're going to see. I think one of the two of them is likely, Biden and Bloomberg is likely to come in second coming out of Super Tuesday, and that person may end up being the sort of Bernie alternative going into the long slog towards Milwaukee.
Speaking of that long slog, there is so much talk about this race potentially going all the way to the convention. Mary discussed those messages of unity from Obama and Pelosi. Will it work, or is this party too fractured?
I think it can work. I can't say it will. I think President Obama has a big role to play in that. I think both his posture over the next 5 months and his speech in Milwaukee, which he'll give as a former president, will be very important towards that. I think the conduct of the candidates over the course of the next few months is going to be very important, and the conduct of their supporters. And so we've seen divisive primaries before. I was part of a couple of those in 2008 and 2016. In 2008, we were able to come together and win. In 2016, not so much. So a lot depends on what happens. Campaigns matter, conduct matters, what happens over the next few months matter. I don't think it's a preordained conclusion that we're too divided to beat Donald Trump, and I think if we act the right way and do the right things, we'll come out of Milwaukee strong headed towards November.
All right. Our thanks to Adisu Demasi. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
And turning now to Milwaukee for a very different reason, the aftermath of yesterday's deadly mass shooting. The Wisconsin governor ordered flags to be lowered to half staff today, and this was the scene at the Molson Coors headquarters where 5 people were killed by a co-worker just a day earlier. We now know the identities of the victims, their ages ranging from 33 to 61. And as investigators work to uncover a motive, we've learned the identity of the alleged shooter who later turned the gun on himself. Our Alex Perez is in Milwaukee with more.
Tonight, authorities in Milwaukee identifying the employee they say brutally murdered 5 of his fellow co-workers at Molson Coors as 51-year-old Anthony Farrell. Authorities tonight identifying the victims ranging in age from 33 years old to 61.
They were powerhouse operators, they were machinists, and they were electricians. But more importantly, they were husbands, they were fathers, and they were friends.
The chaos unfolding a little after 2 p.m. Wednesday. Police say Farrell entered the work building and gunned down 5 employees before killing himself.
If I wouldn't have gone to talk to this guy who was relieving me, I'd be one of them guys. I know that for a fact, because I would have walked right into what was going on.
Today, investigators searching Farrell's home as this community tries to make sense of this tragedy.
And Alex Perez joins me now from Milwaukee. Alex, what's the latest on the investigation?
Hey, Diane, still a lot of unanswered questions at this point, but we do know right now authorities are not really giving us any details about the gunman's employment history here at the plant. And at this point, they have not released any details either on a possible motive. Now, you might imagine this has brought this community together. People here are mourning the loss of these 5 victims. We learned that they range in ages from 33 to 61. This community doing a lot of different things to come together. There are vigils that have been scheduled, and even a couple of T-shirts, several T-shirts, I should say, that have been printed to honor the victims. Milwaukee strong, Miller strong. People here want to focus on those who lost their lives and remember them. Diane?
So many questions still left to be answered. Alex Perez in Milwaukee for us tonight. Alex, thanks. And what a scene in Houston this morning. A huge section of the highway underwater after a massive water main break. It flooded both lanes of the highway, swallowing cars, causing a ton of traffic, even flooding nearby homes. Rescue boats had to come help pull some drivers to safety. Thankfully, no reports of any injuries, but the entire city of Houston has been asked to boil water for the next 24 hours. And now to that winter storm hitting the Northeast. Heavy snow caused a rough commute in the Detroit area with a ton of accidents, as you can see some of those on your screen. And more is coming. There are either snow, wind, or blizzard alerts in 14 different states. Some of the worst weather is expected in upstate New York. And for more on how long this storm will last, let's get over to Rob Marciano with the national forecast.
Hey, Diane, as you know, the winds have been cold and ripping all day long in New York City. They continue here this evening, and because of that wind and that cold air, the lake effect snow is cranking and blowing sideways at times. So blizzard warnings will remain up through tomorrow afternoon, and wind advisories through tonight, and that's going to make it feel cold. But with the winds as such and those lakes as warm as they are, considering the mild winter we've had, that temperature difference is what's going to crank the lake effect snow up to 4 feet, I think, especially east of Lake Ontario. But south of Buffalo, you'll probably see a couple of more feet with, at times, blinding visibilities. And, of course, the wind chills are going to be pretty bad. Winds gusting 30, 40 miles an hour through tomorrow morning, feeling like temperatures in the single digits in Detroit, Chicago, Syracuse, into the teens in Boston and New York City. Saturday morning, a little bit less wind, but that's when the core of the cold will be even lower here in the Northeast. Stay warm, Macedo. Back to you.
Thousands have been caught up in severe flooding in Indonesia as raging waters have crippled the streets of Jakarta, inundating thousands of buildings. Many people have been forced to wade through waist-deep water. Transportation has also been paralyzed, highlighting the region's infrastructure problems. A manhunt is underway tonight in Chicago for 3 suspects wanted in a shooting that left a nursing student dead. Police have released surveillance footage showing the suspects fire several rounds through the door of a food market before taking off. Authorities say they did not hit their intended target, but a bullet did hit and kill 18-year-old Jaya Beeman. 4 others were wounded. A U.S. appeals court judge has ruled that the First Amendment does not apply to YouTube. The judge upheld the dismissal of a case involving a conservative media outlet suing Google-owned YouTube for unlawful censorship. The judge said that despite YouTube's ubiquity and its role as a public-facing platform, it remains a private forum, not subject to judicial scrutiny under the First Amendment. And returning now to our top story, the spread of coronavirus. Many countries fearful of an outbreak have been closing borders for some or even all travelers. Airlines have also been restricting travel to many locations. And with disease experts predicting a larger spread for COVID-19, air travel is going to be impacted in a major way. So you might be asking how this might affect your travel plans. Joining us now to help answer some of those questions, travel expert Mark Stewart is here. Mark, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it. The first question, I guess, is a simple one. Do we stay or do we go?
So many people are asking that question.
Yes.
In fact, a friend of mine was just messaging me on my way here. He and his wife are supposed to go to Italy. My #1 piece of advice, go to the CDC website. It offers specific advice for specific countries, including cruise ships, which we know have been in the news. In the case of Italy, the CDC says take precautions, such as washing your hands and avoiding close contact with people. Bottom line, though, is this. If you do not feel comfortable, you do have some options. Just today, United Airlines extended travel waivers to people traveling across Italy, including Milan and Venice, which, as you know, are some hard-hit cities.
So if you're still in the planning phase, what are some precautions you can take to protect the money you're investing into this travel in the event it doesn't pan out?
Right. A lot of people have been talking about travel insurance, and unfortunately, it is not one size fits all. In fact, in most cases, it won't provide you any protection in the case of the coronavirus. It's been known since January, so companies are very hesitant to offer that kind of protection. Where you may find some assistance is that if you are stuck or stranded somewhere, perhaps you could get some discounts on hotels or meals, things like that. But right now, even the airline credit cards don't offer that kind of protection that many people would assume you would get.
So even with a credit card, there's not a whole lot you can do in advance?
Not very much. In fact, it's really up to you. If you are going away and you are concerned, perhaps take some steps ahead of time. Talk to your physician here. Ask if there are medical clinics abroad. It's very difficult to be sick and to be away. It's not so simple as it may seem. Another suggestion, if you live near a university, contact their travel clinic. A lot of universities offer specific guidance about vaccines and other protections you can get before you even step on the plane.
That's a great tip. And then lastly, what happens if you are away and you either get sick or you get stuck? What are your options there?
Well, I think you should first and foremost keep some lines of communication with people here at home. It may be easier for them to perhaps reach the airline or reach a physician. I was overseas once, had a medical issue, called someone in the States. They were able to help find a physician while I was abroad. You really do have to be proactive if you are going away at this time, because a lot of the resources that you think would be there may not be when so many people are needing help.
It's such great advice, and you're right. So many people are asking these questions. Mark Stewart, travel expert, we appreciate it. Thank you. And when we come back, the Purple Heart discovery and the cross-country search to find its owner. This is a story decades in the making. You don't want to miss it.
ABC News, straightforward.
An animated family beloved by millions is making its way back to the screen.
The Proud Family. What? You and me will always be tight. Family every single day and night. Even when you start acting like a fool, you know I'm loving every single thing you do.
That's right. The Proud Family is back after 18 years. ABC's parent company Disney has announced the long-awaited reboot of the iconic cartoon for Disney+. It will continue the story of Penny Proud and features much of the original cast, including Kyla Pratt, Tommy Davidson, Soleil Moonfry, and Cedric the Entertainer reprising their roles. The series is currently in production with a premiere date yet to be announced. And finally tonight, a journey that took 40 years and hundreds of miles as one collector sought out to find the owner of a Purple Heart found decades ago. It's a remarkable story from our Dallas station. WFAA Kevin Reese reports.
In two containers on a Fort Worth street corner and inside a big white van.
All these cast iron skillets.
Willie Dimes collects
I got
stuff.
some of everything you can think of.
But he couldn't think of keeping these, the 2 Purple Hearts he found at an estate sale. So he asked me for help.
He may still be alive, I don't know.
But the only clue to who that person might be was a letter inside the case written by someone named Mary Rutzis in Duluth, Minnesota, way back in 1979. And then something really strange happened.
For some reason, just thought maybe I could do something.
At his house on a hill in Weatherford, Texas, Martin Branville watched our first story.
And so I made a phone call.
A phone call to a friend in Duluth, asking if he knew anyone named Mary Rutzis.
So
and they did.
That's when I called you and said, mystery solved.
And the next day,
hello.
Hi, is this Mary?
Yes.
I had Mary Rutzis on the phone. Well, I'm glad we found you. We'll see if we can solve this mystery together.
All right, thank you, thank you.
She told me the Purple Hearts belonged to her ex-husband, a Vietnam War veteran named Christian Rutzis, but they divorced more than 40 years ago. So, to solve the rest,
This is Terminal 1.
there was only one thing to do.
Please exit the tram.
A weekend trip to Minneapolis and a 2-hour road trip to a little town in western Wisconsin, where in a small tan house surrounded by 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, that's my handwriting for sure.
Mary Rutzis held her handwritten letter again.
Oh, we got 4 pages? Holy smokes.
And told me she'd also made a few phone calls of her own.
And I said, did he have Purple Hearts? She said, yes, and we can't find them. I said, well, we found them now.
Chris Rutzis was still alive, 5 hours north in Duluth, near the frozen shore of Lake Superior. And that's where the Purple Hearts needed to be.
What are you doing, buddy?
At a nursing home in a second-floor sunroom decorated especially for the occasion.
There's your Purple Hearts, Chris.
His sister Joanne gave him the Purple Hearts.
You remember these?
With a tear rolling down her face.
10 years ago, this would have meant so much to him.
Yeah. Christian Rutzis is 73. Parkinson's and dementia have a firm grip on him now. After a lifetime of struggles with PTSD and the nightmares from what he saw and what he had to do in Vietnam.
When his son was born, he couldn't hold the baby because of things he had to do over there. It was hard for him, and he couldn't get over it.
Why do you still come visit? Because I know it can be difficult at times.
Because I love him. We're brother and sister, and I'll just be there till the end.
But even with an end drawing near, with the Purple Hearts back in hand, this is a family
Now you're smiling.
that can still find joy.
Are there still good moments like this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a good moment deserves a good celebration.
Yeah, we're going back to the party, Chris.
Including a cake with one more very big Purple Heart.
He was very proud that he served. What do you think, Chris? Very proud.
Does it really mean something to you to get him back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the completion of his life. Chew it up, buddy.
A life with 2 of its most important pieces returned thanks to Willie Dimes back in Fort Worth.
Special guy, only thing I can say, with 2 Purple Hearts.
Yeah, it's just the best thing ever. That's a good person.
How wonderful of him. What a good heart.
A good heart helping mend a few more on a very long journey home. In Duluth, Minnesota, I'm Kevin Reese.
Good hearts and big hearts all around. Our thanks to Kevin for that report. And that's the show for this hour. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for streaming with us.